guys, so we're back having some rotation stuff. Okay, we're back on Engine 81. We're going to go over some things today. We're going to have some of the same guys that we've had over the last couple weeks and go over. Engine 81 is actually the structural fire engine for the 180th out here. So they've got, we saw earlier, a couple weeks ago, we saw the little rapid intervention vehicle. That's the little kind of pickup truck looking vehicle. And then we saw the great big crash truck yesterday that they used to fight airplane fires, of course, if they have an airplane crash, something like that. And then we see this other engine. This engine will be the one that you guys will most likely see coming out to your house off the base. This is Engine 81, and it responds with us on automatic A, responds with Monclova, I believe Springfield, and also White House when requested. So this is the one that you could see out and about off the base, and that might come down your street someday. So that we had it out for a fire a couple weeks ago. I think Monclova actually had him out for a fire yesterday, and so these are the guys that'll come out. So let's turn the camera around here, we'll introduce some people, and we'll start the tour.
Firefighter James here.
Firefighter James, nice to meet you today.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Ken. I'm a firefighter here at the 180th Fire Department.
Ken?
Kevin Steele, firefighter here as well.
Okay, so let's go through what do we got here. I'll let whoever wants to take lead today.
Sure. So this is a 2011 KME structural fire engine. It's like many of the other structural engines that are around the area. It's not classified as a crash truck, which means that it does not have that pump and roll capability as we talked about previously on the rapid intervention vehicles or the primary aircraft rescue firefighting vehicle, or the ARFs. So
this truck is just like the White House engine, where when it stops and it's pumping water, it doesn't move anymore.
Correct. There's a power takeoff that requires that from the engine to the transmission, instead of it powering the rear wheels to make the vehicle go forward or backwards, it transfers that power to drive the pump, which is what increases the pressure in our fire hoses.
Yeah. So that's a big deal for everyone to understand. When you see a fire truck on scene at a house fire, the fire truck, if it's pumping water, won't move anymore. Obviously the hoses are attached, but the actual engine's no longer connected to the wheels. The engine's actually kind of connected to the fire pump. And that's a big difference of some of the trucks out here. These guys out here have trucks that are capable of that pump and roll, because obviously if an airplane catches fire or it's crashed or something, they need to drive to that, and then they might need to drive around the airplane and stuff. So they can do two things at once. They can drive the truck and pump water at the same time. Kind of a neat feature.
Very much so. So if you want, let's take a look here on the inside, and we can go ahead and climb up inside with the camera so we can see all the different gauges, the control modules and things like that. You know, very basic indicators as far as all of our gauges and fluid levels, things like that we would need. Up here in the center is where our transmission is mounted, and then all the switches in the center are the controls for the radios, the emergency lights, things like that.
So that little box there with, I think it says R, N, and D, that's just like the gear shift in your car. And that's just like the same gear shift that we have at White House in our engines. That's pretty standard for a truck.
Mm-hmm.
What's this switch down here?
Now this is that PTO, or that power takeoff, that we were just discussing. And when it's in road mode, it's in the up position. So that means that the engine produces the power and transfers that energy through the transmission to the drive shaft. That allows the truck to, go forward and drive and backwards and reverse. When we arrive on scene, we would put the truck in neutral in the transmission, and then we would throw that lever to the down, the pump position, so that we can transfer the drive line to the pump, which is a midship pump on this particular fire apparatus, and that's what increases the pressure for our fire hoses and things like that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to move any water.
So that's the switch that kind of makes the pump for the fire pump work on this truck. That's neat. We have switches just like that on all of our trucks at White House. If you guys watch back through the other videos, you might see those. I didn't point them out quite as in depth, but they're all there in those trucks.
And I'll run around the other side if you want to climb in here. So here inside in the back of the crew compartment, we've got our medical compartment that we keep primarily all of our medical equipment. We got a Life Pack 15, which is we can use that to hook up to patients when we want to monitor their heart and their respiratory rate, find out how much oxygen saturation is in their blood and things like that. We've got a green oxygen bag that's got a small oxygen cylinder in it, along with different types of masks and nasal cannulas. Down below here we've got some vacuum splints. We've got a mass casualty triage kit behind here in the black bag. This orange kit are our Draeger tubes that we use when we're working around our military aircraft, the F-16, when we need to detect hazardous gases and things like that, so that we stay safe and know what type of respiratory protection to use. We've got a 4-gas meter that's here in this black box that will measure carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, oxygen levels, and the LEL, the lower explosive limit. We've got a special cylinder here that's set up for extracting a pilot out of one of our F-16s, so we can transfer their oxygen from the onboard aircraft oxygen to that when we would extract the pilot, in case we needed to do that. And then a Sparrow 2 cylinder is tucked back there in the back. And then obviously the big medical bag that we have, you know, all of our bandages and, you know, Band-Aids and 4x4s and things like that. All very basic stuff that can be found on nearly every structural engine.
Yeah. Kind of the same basic stuff. We see the life packs on our medic units at White House and on the Life Squad. We don't carry that big of a monitor on our engines at White House. They don't have an ambulance here, so they don't have all those kind of extra tools. So because we have the ambulance, we carry all of our medical stuff on there. We carry a little bit of medical stuff on our engines then. So, and then we come around, kind of like the same stuff we saw before. There's some headsets. Those can protect the guys' hearing when they're out driving around. They can also hear the radio traffic and stuff. And more headsets for whoever. We can see up there the radios a little bit more and the siren control. And then we come back here, and just like White House, they have their air packs built right into their seats. And these guys, they came in this morning, they did their checks and everything, and you can see they even actually have their masks already hooked up. They're plugged in, they're ready to go. So all they have to do is jump in, put the pack on, and they're ready to go fight fire. That's pretty neat. And this is kind of neat. Just like in White House, this is the new kind of standard. So we always put our seatbelts on when we're in cars, right? We always are in a car seat or in a booster seat or have our seatbelt on. And firefighters always wear their seatbelts, and firefighters' seatbelts are red. We like red things, so red fire trucks and such. That also helps the bosses see from far away whether you have your seatbelt on. So you can just turn around real quick and see if there's a red belt there. We can instantly know whether or not they have their seatbelt on. I want to show you way up front. I can zoom in a little bit. There's that computer. You guys see that computer sitting there? Looks just like the computers that we saw at White House. Looks just like the computers we saw on the ribs and such. That's the Lucas County MDT, so that they get the information that we get. So yesterday when this truck went out to Monclova and helped out with a house fire there, the information that was relayed to 911 that came across the computers came right onto that computer there. And even though this fire truck came from the military base and it came off base where it doesn't normally operate, they had all the same information that we had going out to that call. So that way we all know the same stuff, can all stay safe and know everything that's going on. So where to now, Ken?
We'll go back to the first compartment there. I'll turn you over to Airman James, and he can go over some of that stuff with you.
Okay. Airman James, we're going to go over this first compartment.
Gotcha. All right, well, first we have a RIP bag here, so this is going to be like a lot of operational tools. So your RIP bag, this is all the equipment you're going to need for that RIP team, so the RIP team to save those down firefighters inside, right?
Okay.
And then we're going to have your MSA pack right here, MSA air cylinder, just your breathing stuff. He's got his mask attached. This is where the driver keeps his things.
Oh, the driver, okay.
Yep.
What's RIT? What's RIT stand for?
Rapid Intervention Team.
Okay. And the Rapid Intervention Team is who helps a firefighter if they go down in a fire and are injured, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Teams of two. If you know that alert system goes off, the Mayday device, they go in there and save them.
Very
So you have some more operational tools here, like prying tools. You have a set of irons, always a safe bet to go. A sledgehammer. You got bolt cutters, J tool. You got some brooms in the back for cleaning up the scene afterwards, and there's some disinfectant stuff to clean off the truck.
So we'll go through here and we'll see. They've got everything nice and labeled. They know where everything goes. Everything stays in its spot. Come over here. How do you guys get this stuff? I mean, it's way back in there. Does it slide out?
Yeah, it does slide out.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So that whole thing.
Yep.
So you guys see how that slides out? And it's behind the compartment, but then it all slides out, and then they can get right to it.
Yep.
Very good. Okay.
So we got some more, yeah, shovel right here. Just more operational tools that have come along. Sawzall, toolbox, normal tool stuff. You're gonna have like wrenches, hammers, things of those lines. Some caution tape for the scene, so do not enter. Those types of things as well.
Lots of tools.
Yeah, lots of tools. Always a lot of tools.
Lots of tools. Okay.
We have some airbags here. These are gonna be for lifting, and they're pneumatic. Some more of the driver's gear right there.
I want you guys to take a look here real quick. Firefighter James hasn't opened this up yet. You see this compartment here? And if we look over here, there's another one here. And we see that's right above the wheel well. Do you guys remember what's above the wheel well in trucks like this? There's kind of two big shiny ones, and there's one that looks different. What do you think this one is? This one's pretty simple. This one's on your car too. Yep, that's the gas tank, right? We put diesel in these. That's where the fuel goes. What's in there?
So here, always gonna have your extra spare SCBA cylinders.
Extra air cylinder. You guys remember that? A lot of fire trucks have that little extra compartment. We make use of every available space we can, and so we can usually find air tanks there. So when you see those little compartments above the wheel wells like that, a lot of times they have air cylinders in them.
All right, nice. We got some power tools here. So you got your, chainsaw. Obviously, you got your K12 saw. These have different blades used to cut different types of materials. These pull out as well.
Okay.
We have a positive pressure fan, negative pressure fan down here. These are for ventilation. Put these in doors, windows, set it up. Along with the tarps and salvage covers.
Very good. I see you guys have some floodlights up there. And there's a light over here, so when we're working off the side of the truck at a house fire or at a car crash or something, we can light up the whole side of the scene and see what we're doing at nighttime.
Let's turn my light on. Back here, jaws of life, right? Spreaders, shears, jog press here. These are all powered. These actually, I think these are kind of newer too for the Air Force.
Now, do these operate off batteries?
Yes, these are battery powered here.
Oh, okay.
These will be in the back.
Nice. So these are the extrication tools. The White House has a lot of the same stuff, but now ours aren't battery powered. Ours are hydraulically powered, so they have a cord coming off them, a hose that goes to a pump. And these guys have some newer stuff out here, so that's kind of neat. And this is all their extrication stuff. So you can see here they got some wedges and some blocks and stuff that they can use to stabilize cars and things. And look here, they have an electric reel. This is a giant extension cord. And it pulls all the way out and it's stored all the way up in there. That looks like a really long cord, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And what's up here?
So we have some of our hose here.
That's a fire hose.
Yep.
Yeah. We got the big LDH.
Got some ladders as well. Ladders stored up here. Ladders stored up there as well. We always have ladders in the truck with us.
Okay. And of course, where water goes in, right? One of the inlets for the truck. More lights on top of it.
Yep.
And of course, our red lights. And every fire truck we see nowadays has these giant chevron stripes on the back of it. So that increases our safety when we're operating out on the roadways and stuff, so cars can see us and hopefully don't hit us. You guys have something kind of weird down here. What is this down here?
Well, that's just a hitch system so that we could tow some of our trailers, and these are for the airlines that we control the brake system and things like that for some of the heavier trailers that have their own braking systems.
So that's something kind of unique about the Air Force out here. In the Engine 81, it actually tows trailers. Most fire trucks don't tow trailers, but they have a lot of specialty teams out here and specialty equipment with all the planes and everything that they do, and so they can tow a trailer. Where to now?
We'll talk about this compartment here, and then I'll turn it over to Firefighter Steele to talk about the rest of the compartments. But so down below here we've got some more cribbing that we would use for vehicle stabilization. Smaller pieces than what we have in the back when we need some smaller areas to fill in some of the gaps. Here we've got, this is the PIG responder kit, so this is for hazardous materials for plugging and diking absorption and adsorption of different hazardous chemicals that we don't want to, we want to control where that spill is and mitigate that risk as small an area as possible. And then we've got our pop-up road cones. They're pretty handy that they collapse down like that because they take up so much less space.
Yep.
So it's nice to have a kit like that that kind of
just like a White House.
collapses
We
down.
bought those and are in love with them, and they work absolutely great.
They're great. They take up so much less space. And then here we've got, the white and the blue pads are for different types of hazardous materials for oils and for fuels, and these are basically just big giant sponges. You put it over top of what that fluid is, and it just kind of sucks it up into that pad, and then we can dispose of that pad, and we have less fluid to deal with from there. And then, you know, the bucket is just different tapes and pieces of plastic that we could put potentially over drains and things like that, so the fluids don't leak down into the drains, and then we've got a bigger problem because we need to mitigate that as well, or at least an environmental tape would. And then the brown vests, being on a military base, these are just special mass casualty vests that we can put on that have their own medical kit that's right here on the chest. So instead of having to carry big bulky bags, we've got some of it that's right here on our body that we can carry with us. And then we would take these bags, and each bag is set up. We've got 4 of the vests and 4 of the bags. Each bag has got enough medical equipment in it for mass casualty type events to treat 4 to 5 patients, depending on what those patients' needs are. And
so 4 firefighters on the truck. We can see there's 4 bags, and if they have a big crash or something, and there's a lot of victims, a lot of people like that for a plane or something like that, each person can break off and start treating people and get treatment to them very, very quickly.
That's correct.
That's very neat.
I'll turn it over to Firefighter Steele here.
We'll continue the tour. It's just your basic extinguishers compartment here. These are for foam. I've never used one of these. We typically don't train with foam because it's very environmentally unsafe. So, but this will just, it's kind of like an air aspirator. So we have a couple of those in there. Got your air cylinder compartments over the wheel well again, as we saw before. So, and we move into our coupling compartment. We have some appliances down here. There's a master stream. This is kind of unique. I don't know who made this, but this can actually attach to a on the side of a dump tank, and you can run a line right into the dump tank, keep supplying that. We got our hotel pack here. It's about 250 feet, I think. And
lots of couplings. So
and what's unique for us out here too is all the extinguishers on the airport out here have Toledo threading. So we went ahead and painted all these orange so that we know which one. Because if you don't put this on there and you turn the hydrant on, it'll just shoot the coupling right off. So
everything with the Toledo thread, you guys can see up there. They've got it labeled. They've got it painted orange.
We also have a large diameter fitting right here too that for some of the other.
So it's very, very organized. They know what piece goes where, and they know if they're missing a piece. Right? If we go out to a fire with a bunch of other departments, and people have stuff and things get sorted around, and something gets misplaced on another truck, they would know right away that, hey, they're missing a piece because everything's labeled and everything's marked. As a matter of fact, I went on a fire with the Air Guard probably a year ago, and extension cord came back on the White House fire truck, and we didn't know whose it was. It got misplaced on ours. And I called over here and I talked to them, and they said, nope, it's not ours. Ours is here. It's marked. We're good to go. So they knew right away that it wasn't theirs and wasn't their missing equipment.
Yep, we do a good job of trying to make sure we label everything on here possible.
Everything's expensive, so we want to make sure we keep track of it all.
Exactly. So here, hydrants, we got about a 150-foot trash line here that we can use. We'll use this for. I know we used it on an F-16 in-flight emergency before. So this is probably the most important compartment maybe on this engine, since the engine crew during an F-16 emergency are primarily the what do you say, rescue unit, I guess, yeah. So
somebody from personnel, please contact the main gate 4325. Somebody from personnel, please contact the main gate 4325.
Nobody on base. So anyways, this compartment contains some very important items that we'll need in the event of an in-flight emergency with an F-16. We also talked already about the air cylinder that's in the medical compartment in here, and then as well as the little giant ladders on the back. This is a emergency power unit. Each F-16 has hydrazine, which is very toxic, dangerous, and we use this sign to communicate with the pilot because it's also very loud. We'll just use these wheel chocks just to chalk their back tires so that the jet doesn't roll on us. And then we also have this pin bag. So each side of this is separate. So this is our non-rescue side. So these have these pins. This is the tank pin. What these are for, as we're firefighters, we have to fire safe the aircraft. So we'll take these pins, which is landing gear, seat pin, gun pin, in the tanks, and we literally have to go in and push these in, and that'll allow so like the gas tank can't fall off, the landing gear is locked down, and the gun is blocked so that it can't just discharge while we're trying to rescue the pilot out of the aircraft.
So those are all kind of the safety pins, if you will.
Yes, exactly.
So that makes, once the plane lands, it could continue, you know, it's got a gun on it, it could shoot, it's got fuel tanks on it, it could do all kinds of things, so they can put those pins in, and that makes it so the gun won't shoot, I would imagine, so the pilot can't accidentally get ejected out.
Yeah, we also have,
fuel tanks won't fall off,
a
all
seat
kinds of
pin
other
in
things.
here, and there's tools inside here where we have to use to get the canopy open, but that's also electrically controlled on the jet itself as well.
So that's something very interesting, that obviously that's the only engine probably in Lucas County that has that kind of equipment on, and it's specialized just to the actual planes that they fly out here. They fly the F-16. So those pins fit that, and this truck's made to go on fires to that and emergencies to that type of plane. So very good.
So that's really the end of the compartments as far as that goes. I'll let firefighter person talk about the fire pump a little bit. Get out of your way there. Okay.
So the pump panel up here, if you want to come on up, this is truly the heart and soul of any structural engine, is this control panel and the pump that's kind of tucked away back behind here. Because without this, the fire truck wouldn't be able to pump water with any amount of pressure. We would only be able to hook up to hydrants and use whatever pressure was coming out of the fire hydrants, and that's oftentimes not enough for us to fight fire. So basically what happens is the truck would get hooked to a hydrant for that continual water supply, but then this truck boosts the pressure. And one of the ways that we can do that, we would open up the tank to pump here with this switch. After we've transferred, remember we talked about it before with that PTO switch, that power takeoff switch, to transfer what the transmission is doing and where it's supplying power. After we've engaged the PTO back here at the pump, we open the tank to pump switch, which allows the water to go from the big tank in the truck, which is 500 gallons of water, and it opens up that valve, and then depending on which fire hose we're using, which typically would be one of these two crosslays here in the back, they're 200 feet, we would pull this valve for the upper speed lay, this right here, and each one is labeled, and then each line also has its own pressure gauge. So because of that, when you look across this pump panel, you can see we've got many different gauges. One is telling us how much pressure we have that's being supplied to the truck, either pumped from another fire truck or from the hydrant or the static source. The pump discharge is how much pressure we're putting out across the entire truck, and then each one of these gauges will tell us how much pressure we have on that one particular line.
So this is what's coming in. This says pump intake. This is how much is coming in, and then this is how much is going back out, the discharge side of it.
That's right.
Good deal.
So needless to say that this can be, it can be a very stressful position to be in. Not only did you have to safely get the entire crew to the scene, but then you're responsible for coming back here and making sure that all the water gets to all the right places and is manageable pressure.
So who sits up here? Probably the boss guy, right? Probably the guy that's sitting up in that front officer seat?
This would be the driver.
Oh, the driver does this
Correct.
one.
Wow. So we refer to the driver as the driver operator. It's not just the driver of the fire truck. On this truck, they have to come back here and they have to manage all of this as well.
So that's actually just like White House. So when you guys see a fire truck going down the road, the person, the guy or the girl driving it is the operator or the engineer of that vehicle. And when they get on scene, they won't go in and fight the fire. They'll come back here, and they're the one pulling the levers and sending the water where it needs to go and getting the water from where it needs to come from and all that. And they're the ones pulling all these levers and watching all these gauges and taking care of all that. So like I said before on one of our other broadcasts, it's not just driving. It's a lot more than just driving. So the person sitting there has a lot of information about that truck and is operating that whole truck. You guys also have something else up here. What's this?
This orange is this orange device is called a Stokes basket, and we'll use that for a bunch of different types of rescues. Sometimes it may be for our pilots. Sometimes people are out hiking and have a hard time getting back to the parking areas, or if they need to take a ride in an ambulance. It's safer for us to move the patient in one of those, and it's a lot more comfortable for the patient to do it that way.
Very good. And with that, step back here a little bit, kind of walk back around, see all the stuff that's going on. So that's back down to one of our normal tours, about 20 5 minutes. I'm going to rotate this microphone so you guys don't have to listen to the airplane that I can hear. Lots of things going on out here all the time. The Air Force is always out here. There's lots of planes with Toledo Express Airport and such going on. So I want to thank the 180th for coming out and letting us come out and see their trucks and doing the tours the last 3 weeks. This will be our last tour for probably a few weeks now. We'll go on and find some other stuff to broadcast with, and we'll show you some training and things here in the next few months as it gets a little bit warmer out. But you guys are going to be going out and playing and swimming and doing all kinds of other things that are out and about. So again, thanks to the 180th. We'll sign off for now, and thanks to the guys that gave us the tours today. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.